Okay, good evening everyone. Today we will have the debate for the motions for our debate is this house believe that mandatory antigen test for travel requirements is more effective than PCR test. You guys can start present your arguments now. Thank you. Okay, the first speaker from Pro Team, you can present your arguments. Okay, maybe Aldo have trouble with his signal. Okay, maybe we can start from the second speaker for Pro Team, and then Aldo will be the last speaker of Pro Team. Okay, you can start.
Yes, Kak.
Yeah.
My name is Tiyas Arum Setyowati. Okay, I will display my opinion. Swab antigen test and PCR are two different types of tests. The antigen swab test take a short time, which is between 30 until 60 minutes, while the PCR test procedure takes the fast time of about 1 day. This is because there are so many samples that must be examined, while the availability of tools for PCR is still limited. Something the result from the PCR can take up to about 1 week. However, this is also related to the level of accuracy of the test. So, when value for the set of the speed of time, the antigen is fast and more efficient if it is used as a condition for traveling outside the city. Okay, thank you very much.
I want to rebut the statement from Speak Up Pro. I don't agree with the motivation that antigen is more accurate than PCR for travel because PCR is more effective than antigen.
Okay, thank you for the opinion before me. My opinion about the motion is I agree with Tia's opinion that is swab and a mandatory antigen test is more effective than PCR because the procedure of antigen test is not as painful as PCR test. Also, the procedure time is more is more is more is more PCR test is more longer than antigen test. Also, when we see from the price, and PCR test is more expensive than antigen test. Our government already state that the PCR test is 275,000 from for people from Java and 30,000 from people outside Java. But for antigen test, only 99,000 from inside Java, but 109,000 from outside Java. Thank you.
Okay, I am Regita Navasari from the Contra team. I want to present my opinion. In my opinion, from several sources that I read, the PCR test does take a long time because the PCR test looks for the genetic material of the virus, namely is RNA. This characteristic makes the sensitivity or accuracy of the PCR test higher than that of the antigen test. PCR accuracy can be up to 95%, while the antigen is 10 to 50% less. And the negative PCR results are valid for 2 times 24 hours, while the rapid antigen test results are only valid for 1 time 24 hours. That's why PCR tests are more effective than antigens. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Let me introduce myself. I am Haifa Sakifa Ahmad from the Pro team. This house believes that this house this house believes that mandatory antigen tests for travel requirement is she said that the PCR accuracy is 95%, but the antigen is lesser 10 to 15% than PCR. But it is said from WHO that antigen accuracy is already until 97%. And also, she stated that the negative, the result for PCR is uh, are allowed for 2 times 24 hours, and rapid test is 1 times 24 hours. So I think because it is only the antigen only can be used for a day, it means that there will be no like pretending today you are tested negative, and then if it's used for 3 days, we don't know what the other 2 days are happening to us. So it could be that the other days we are affected by the COVID. So I think it is better to be only could be used in a shorter time than a longer time like PCR. And then I have another opinion. So yes, our result could be easily detected. It's only 15 to 30 minutes, and then antigen could detect virus directly in a short time, because this test doesn't need um, many kind of tests to the laboratorium like PCR. So that's why it's more effective for a traveler, because it will be easier for them to get the result. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sylvie from Contra Team. I won't give my opinion. PCR tests require more virus in the sample to report a positive result. Antigen tests carry a high risk of giving false negative result. A false negative means the test show a person doesn't have COVID-19 when it turns out that person does. Rapid tests rarely give false positive result. A false positive is when you test positive for COVID-19 when you don't actually have it. Thank you.
Thank you for the provision opinion. I'm Azara Edelweiss Setiawan from the Pro team. I agree with the motion that the THBT mandatory antigen test for travel recruitment is more effective than PCR. The antigen test has been recommended by WHO because it has been proven to be 97% effective than PCR. The overall sensitivity of the antigen test compared to PCR result in a sensitivity of 97% if infection. This proves that the rapid antigen test is an excellent public health tool for quickly identifying almost anyone who is currently infected and needs to be isolated. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Dila Irmawati, and I will review the statement from Azahra. I do not agree with the motion that the antigen test is more effective for travel recruitment than PCR. This is because in the PCR test, what is solved is the genetic material of the virus, namely its RNA. This characteristic makes the sensitivity or accuracy of the PCR test higher than that of the antigen test. PCR is also capable of detecting virus from the pre-symptomatic period before symptoms infectious to post-infectious has recovered. So, in conclusion, PCR is more effective as a travel condition than antigen test. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Excuse me, I am Avril Fazri. I agree because the antigen swab or rapid antigen can be called rapid because the results of the examination are fast and it is called a swab because the sampling technique is be wiping the area inside the nose. The PCR test is done by taking a sample from the nasopharynx, which might be more painful than the antigen. Then antigen swab is only up to the nose, so you feel less pain. The antigen swab test takes a short time, which is between 30 60 minutes, and the antigen test is much cheaper than PCR. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Diana Saputri as the speaker of negative test. In here, I disagree with the motion that mandatory antigen test for travel requirements is more effective than PCR. Why can I say this? Because the polymerase chain reaction or PCR test is an examination performed to detect the genetic material of certain organisms such as viruses. PCR is the standard testing platform for virus because this test is judged to be very sensitive, said Paul Yeager, a professor in the Department of Biotechnology at the University of Washington. PCR can detect even small amounts of virus in patient samples and is less likely to be mistaken for a negative result. And from the previous speaker, it has also been mentioned that the accuracy of the PCR test reaches 95% and that there is a 10 to 15% shortage of antigen. And, and in terms of price, antigen is more expensive than rapid. This is very burdensome for people who have a lower middle economy. Especially during this pandemic, money keeps flowing like water. And this also makes the antigen less effective. And I emphasize once again, I don't agree with the motion. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Marisa Messi from the Contra team. Would like to conclude what my team has said. I agree that PCR is more effective when traveling. This is to prevent the spread of COVID-19. To my knowledge, this release from the task force and PCR is considered more effective in detecting the level of accuracy of examination result, namely that PCR is a sporting examination that detects the most accurate coronavirus. In comparison, the accuracy of the PCR test is still better than the antigen test. This makes the PCR test the gold standard in determining whether a person is positive for COVID-19 or negative. PCR accuracy can be up to 95%, while this antigen is only 80%, as well as negative PCR result with a validity period of 2 times 24 hours, or rapid antigen. These result that are valid for one time 24 hours. With the explanation of this argument, it can be concluded that PCR is more effective in preventing the spread of COVID-19 while traveling. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone want to add some arguments? I will count 1 to 5. If there is no one, we will end this debate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, thank you everyone.